Can you spot the difference? The clue is in the hydroxyl groups. Remember, if the hydroxyl group is below in carbon 1 and hydrogen is above, this will be alpha glucose. And when the hydroxyl group is above and the hydrogen is below at carbon 1, this is beta glucose. Now we have already been introduced to the fact that alpha glucose can condense to form alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond, alpha 1,2 glycosidic bond, and alpha 1,6 glycosidic bond. So what kind of bond does beta glucose make? Well, today in BioWorld, I am going to tell you. Follow me. According to the STPM syllabus, you should be able to describe the formation of glycosidic bonds. In my previous video, I've already introduced the bonds in maltose, sucrose, starch, and glycogen, which all involve alpha glucose. Today's video will be all about beta glucose and how it condenses to form cellulose. Cellulose is a complex molecule made up of cellulose fibers, and if we isolate one cellulose fiber, you will find it is made up of cellulose macrofibrils. And inside these macrofibrils, you have tinier microfibrils. The microfibrils are made up of individual cellulose chains, and these cellulose chains form by the polymerization of beta-glucose molecules. If you notice, the cellulose chain is not only extremely long, but it is linear in structure. It does not twist into a helix as what you have seen in starch and glycogen. It also has no branches. Let's have a look at how beta-glucose condenses. For condensation to happen, the two monosaccharides must be side by side. But when two beta-glucose molecules are placed side by side, there is a problem. The hydroxyl group is parallel to a hydrogen group. Condensation will not occur. So then, how will two beta-glucose molecules condense? The solution is by rotating one of the beta-glucose molecules by 180 degrees. When one of the beta-glucose molecules rotates, we find now the hydroxyl group at carbon 1 and the hydroxyl group at carbon 4 are at the same level. So then condensation can occur where water will be removed and the oxygen atom at carbon 1 will be shared with carbon 4. And when they share, a covalent bond forms, and we call this covalent bond as beta because it involves beta-glucose molecules, 1,4 because of the carbon 1 and carbon 4 sharing the oxygen, and of course glycosidic bond because this is a carbohydrate. So this is the process of condensation in beta-glucose molecules. For beta-glucose molecules to condense and form a long cellulose chain, each of the beta-glucose molecule will have to rotate 180 degrees alternately so that the beta-1,4 glycosidic bonds can form. In this way, the chain will be straight and each chain formed will be parallel to the other. Also notice that due to the rotation, the hydroxyl groups at carbon 6 are either pointing upwards or downwards on the same chain. Now, since they are parallel to the next chain, the hydroxyl groups from one chain will form a hydrogen bond with the hydroxyl group of the other chain. So in this way, cellulose chains become very strong and form a larger structure known as the microfibril. So with that, we have completed the discussion on polysaccharides. And now I move on to discussion about the physical and chemical properties of carbohydrates, as well as one of its chemical property, that is as a reducing agent. Monosaccharides and disaccharides share similarities, but they have different characteristics than that of polysaccharides. Firstly is their size. Since monosaccharides are only one sugar and disaccharides two sugars, they are naturally small. It is also found that they give us a taste of sweetness when we consume monosaccharides or disaccharides. If we mix monosaccharides and disaccharides in water, they completely dissolve, making them water soluble. And physically, they have a crystalline structure. As we compare this with polysaccharides, polysaccharides are macromolecules. They are large. And we find that they are tasteless. If you take a polysaccharide, that is starch or glycogen, and mix into water, you find that they do not dissolve completely. Instead, they form this semi-soluble structure called a colloid. And polysaccharides cannot take a crystalline shape. Instead, they have a powder appearance, which we call as amorphous. Next, we move on to the chemical properties of carbohydrates. The diagram here is that of a glucose molecule representing monosaccharides. Next, we see a molecule of sucrose representing disaccharides. And here we see a molecule of amylopectin or glycogen representing polysaccharides. If you notice, each of these molecules are rich with hydroxyl groups. The presence of these hydroxyl groups make all carbohydrates polar molecules because the oxygens are very reactive. Since both monosaccharides and disaccharides are polar, they are very powerful reducing agents, meaning that they are able to donate electrons. The main reason is because of the presence of functional groups such as aldehyde, where the carbonyl, that is CO, is found on carbon 1. The functional group ketone, where the carbonyl group, the carbon-oxygen combination, is on carbon 2, as well as the presence of many hydroxyl groups. It is because of this reactivity that we find all monosaccharides are reducing sugars. That is, when a monosaccharide is mixed with Benedict solution and heated, we find that the blue color of the Benedict solution changes into a brick red precipitate. The reason this happens is because Benedict's solution is blue in color due to the presence of copper sulfate. But it takes on this brick red precipitate because it is converted into copper oxide. This is possible because of the carbonyl group in the form of aldehyde or the carbonyl group in the form of ketone. The oxygens here are very ready to donate electrons. So here we have copper 2 plus receiving electron from the monosaccharides and becoming copper 1 plus. So this shows us that monosaccharides have reducing ends that are able to reduce the copper 2 positive in Benedict's solution to copper 1 positive. And this makes monosaccharides reducing sugars. However, not all disaccharides are reducing sugars, although they are polar like monosaccharides. Maltose is an example of a disaccharide that is a reducing sugar. Maltose is produced by the condensation of two alpha glucose molecules and they form alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond. Now the oxygen here is involved in the formation of the alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond, but the oxygen here is free. So it will donate electrons to copper sulfate in Benedict's solution and convert the blue Benedict solution into a brick red precipitate. So that is why maltose is a reducing sugar. But let's look at sucrose, which is a non-reducing sugar. Sucrose is produced through the condensation between an alpha glucose molecule and a fructose molecule. And they are bonded together by alpha 1,2 glycosidic bond. You can notice that there is an oxygen at the glucose molecule and another oxygen here at the fructose molecule. But the oxygen on the glucose molecule is involved in forming the alpha 1,2 glycosidic bond, and the oxygen on the fructose end is also being used to form the alpha 1,2 glycosidic bond. So there are no free oxygen atoms to donate electron. So that is why you find sucrose is not able to reduce copper sulfate in the Benedict solution to copper oxide, making sucrose a non-reducing sugar. Polysaccharides are polar molecules, but they are non-reactive. The reason is because polysaccharides are very stable. Stable molecules cannot do biochemical reactions. For example, here, this diagram shows us a structure of either amylopectin or glycogen. You can see many hydroxyl groups and even oxygens present. But you are aware that the oxygens here are actually forming glycosidic bonds alpha 1,4 and over here alpha 1,6. So that is the reason why polysaccharides that are polar are still non-reactive, because the functional groups are either forming glycosidic bonds or, like here, these free hydroxyl groups, they will be forming hydrogen bonds to stabilize the molecule. So now you know all about the structure and properties of carbohydrates. Next video will be about their function. Until then, bye-bye.